UFC is a damned fun sport, but just know I'm not a huge follower of it, and I haven't really played this series since its second title, so I'm a fresh little baby boy, and I've had a lot of fun punching, kicking, and choking my way up the ranks of the UFC. There are a lot of systems here though, so let's start trying to break them down from the most layman of perspectives in the XboxEra review of UFC 5. From the days of the Gracies beating the heck out of sumos to the full-on sports organization days, I've always enjoyed the UFC. And while I have fallen off in recent years, it's been a treat to get to refamiliarize myself with the carnage that is an MMA match. EA's UFC franchise had a rough start, but has slowly built up into something people have enjoyed but never really loved. I don't think UFC 5 will change that completely, but it is a deep package with a large roster and a handful of modes on offer. That roster includes roughly 100 fighters when I checked, both men and women being sorted by their weight class. For modes, you have Exhibition, Career, Online, Event Creator, Creative Fighter, and the Learn Tutorial section. I spent a lot of my time early on in Learn. The game's tutorials are pretty good because the combat is dense. Matches allow you to choose the style of gameplay you want, which are Knockout, Stand and Bang, Competitive, Simulation, and Custom. Depending on who is fighting, simulation was my preferred way, as it felt the most like watching an actual fight. The other modes are all more arcade-like, with a focus on stand-up fisticuff and kicking action instead of submission and wrestling. You can fight in a UFC main card, main event, championship bout, backyard arena, or even the Kumite. Each mode has a slightly different rule set on rounds and time, with the Kumite being a long bout where any decision is a draw. After choosing your weight class and difficulty, the final selector is the arena you'll be fighting in. UFC-style fights have a handful of real-world arenas to choose from, each of which was rendered well based on my admittedly shoddy memory. But the heart of any UFC video game is, of course, its combat. It took me a while to learn the incredibly intricate systems of the game, and I got my butt handed to me by the CPU on normal more than once while learning. Punches and kicks can feel appropriately powerful when well-timed, with the most vicious strikes making the screen flash as the audio booms. As a boxing game, UFC works well if you commit to memorizing its complicated control schemes. Remembering how each strike was pulled off, how to block high and low while bobbing and weaving, and catching kicks to deal maximum retributive damage feels great once you get the basics down. And on the ground, it is a bit more basic, though just as difficult. The focus moves from the face buttons and triggers to the right stick as you are in a constant back and forth to either gain or maintain control. All of these strikes and grapples serve the meter masters as you whittle down your opponent's stamina and various health bars on each body part. While perfect strikes can take someone down with a single attack, most of my fights ended after working a specific area, leading to a submission while on simulation mode. The stand-up and fight modes are knockout fests for those looking for quicker-paced action as well. Graphically, UFC 5 looks fantastic on Series X. Arenas look great and the fighter models are top-notch. Damage over time can be gruesome as cuts open over eyes and bruises will quickly appear everywhere once you've dealt serious damage. In the opening bout, your character has such a disgusting-looking cut that I winced at the screen as he was allowed to continue. Though a minute later, I had landed such a devastating kick to my opponent's head that after immediately being knocked out, he had an even worse looking gash on his head in the post-fight screen. Animations flow well, with only a few instances where arms or legs appear to break a bit as they bent the wrong way, though they quickly snapped into a more anatomically correct position without missing a beat. It is a constant reminder that this is, of course, a video game. Series X offers up a clean image and a great feeling 60 FPS target, with short load times and a rocking audioscape during each fight. The career mode is weak, as they tend to be in sports games. You'll work your way up from the backyards to the big time, and it ends up being a solid tutorial on learning how to play the game. And while it's not an interesting story, as the writing and acting are pretty bland, it's a great way for newcomers to jump in. During the review period, I tried playing online but had trouble finding matches. I got a few in and it felt great, though these games tend to during review and then fall apart at launch once everyone's playing. There are a lot of microtransactions in the store, but I never really felt a pull to change up a character's look. Wrapping things up, UFC 5 is fun to play, looks great, has a ton of fighters, though the career mode is a glorified tutorial. If you love the sport, this seems like the best one yet and should be well worth checking out.